At 2:47 a.m., a $1.5 million S-400 fires, and that blast hides a small team that destroys the depot. The Russian radar crew in Toretsk believes they have just scored a perfect hit. Their screens light up, the command room shakes, and a fiery trail cuts through the night sky. One drone down, or so they think. The operators relax, but they are unaware that they have just revealed their own position to the very people they are hunting. Because while that missile streaks upward, 12 Ukrainian soldiers are already in place, watching from the swamp outside the depot. Inside that bunker lie 2,000 tons of ammunition and enough drones to launch another offensive. But the Ukrainians are not here to watch. They are here to erase it. And the sound of that S-400 blast is the perfect cover for what comes next. So, what really happened after that missile hit? Downriver, 12 Ukrainians watched the whole thing without celebrating their small win. They had moved into the swamp hours earlier. Each carried a 30-pound nanocarbon raft and a compact pack. This included 6 custom FPV drones, 3 javelins, a bunker-busting charge, fiber reels, and 3 palm-sized GPS beacons. Everything fit together for one reason: to see, to mislead, and to break a system at the right moment. Their rafts slid through reeds with almost no wake. There were no engines to hear and no heat signature to show on thermal scopes. The team dispersed into shallow channels and set positions on fixed coordinates. They checked fiber tethers, ran pre-flight checks, and mapped the depot from their tablet displays. The FPV drones were the central tool. Each drone ran on a 5-meter fiber link to its pilot. The tether gave instant jam-proof video. This way, no radio signal was left in the air. No easy way for an opponent to jam, spoof, or steal control. The first drone took off at 2:55 a.m. The camera painted the depot in clear, steady frames, antenna clusters, power sheds, control boxes, and parked vehicles. The pilots worked as a single unit, stitching feeds into a live map. They identified critical nodes such as control shelters, radar junctions, and the command vehicle. Everything was measured and placed on the plan. Next, the team deployed the bait. A tiny planted node began broadcasting a crafted signal. On the depot's radar, that signal multiplied into a fast, low swarm. The screen showed dozens of contacts converging. The S-400 reacted as designed. The priority threats were engaged. 6 more interceptors launched in quick succession. That reaction cost roughly $3 million per missile, so it was about $9 million in a few minutes. 2 FPV drones were lost in the opening exchange. The team accepted the trade. A handful of drone losses in exchange for multi-million-dollar interceptors and distracted defenses was the calculation. While the S-400 and its crews focused on aerial signatures, the swamp team advanced the plan. Fog helped with their operation. The dense mist altered radar returns, making Doppler filtering less reliable. The S-400's processing could not always separate low, slow objects from background clutter. Its discrimination fell. On the ground, Russian patrol vehicles tried to move toward the beacon sites. The terrain was quiet and wet, so it became a natural electronic and physical break on defensive action. Then, at about 3:05 a.m., the team placed 3 GPS beacons in open ground within sight of the depot's sensors. Each beacon matched a clean, fixed emitter signature. It was exactly the kind of target command crews prioritize. The defenders obliged. A missile launched to smash a device no larger than a deck of cards. Another multi-million-dollar interceptor was spent on a tiny marker. With each expensive response, the depot's missile inventory and immediate readiness were reduced. Because the drones used fiber tethers, there was no radio trace for defenders to triangulate. The pilots could probe cable runs and control cabinets in real time. They fed coordinates directly to the Javelin crews. The plan did not initially target the largest bunker. It aimed at the center of control, the vehicle or shelter that coordinated the depot's defenses and resupply. Pull that node out, and the rest of the complex struggles to react properly. The first Javelin lifted quietly into the fog, gliding like a silent arrow through the night. Its target was not a bunker or a tank, but the depot's brain. It was the command vehicle that kept every radar and battery in sync. When it struck, the explosion was deafening. Radios went dead, antennas snapped, and short-range links burned out. Within seconds, the chain of command dissolved. Confused units shouted over dead frequencies, trying to guess what had happened. At the same moment, the fiber-tethered FPV drones surged forward from their hiding spots. Their operators guided them low over the water and straight toward the radar arrays and control boxes that powered the S-400's eyes. Sparks flashed as tiny charges hit power lines, cut cables, and fried circuit boards. The great radar kept spinning, but the data feeding it had turned to noise. Its picture of the battlefield blurred until it could barely tell what was real. Russian patrols tried to respond. They splashed through the mud, headlights cutting faint lines through the fog, but the ground swallowed their wheels. Technicians rushed to fix the damaged circuits, yet every minute spent on repairs cost them focus somewhere else. Worse still, the depot kept firing interceptors at ghosts. Missiles worth millions were chasing fake signals from tiny decoy beacons. Every one they launched was another they couldn't use later. That's how you win. Make the enemy spend more time and money fixing problems than fighting you. By the time any major explosion rocked the valley, the balance had already shifted. The Ukrainian team had drained the depot's missile supply, cut its communication lines, and mapped every key structure left standing. The S-400 crews still stared at their screens, hunting phantom drones in the sky, while the real operation happened quietly in the swamp below. The 12 soldiers checked their tethers, tightened grips on their launchers, and looked to their commander for the signal. Every second of delay mattered. They had already blinded the enemy. Now they would cut its remaining nerves. The plan was set. Synchronized javelin shots, then fast FPV dives to finish the job, breaking the depot's control, sensors, and finally, the magazine stacked with fuel and ammunition. The air was still. The defenders were looking the wrong way. This was the window they had built for. They moved like ghosts, but not without risk. After the first strikes, a lone Spetsnaz sweep found a thin fiber strand caught in the mud. It was a single thread no thicker than a hair. That one snag gave them a trail. By 3:10 a.m., Russian search teams were closing in from the north, boots slapping through reeds, flashlights cutting the fog. The 12 operators realized they had been spotted. For a moment, the mission hung by that single fiber, but the team did not panic. They executed a layered reply they had drilled until it felt automatic. First, they used the biosmoke. A device hissed and a dense chemical mist rolled across the bank. Heat cameras smeared out and thermal outlines dissolved. The swamp turned into a moving shadow. Spetsnaz imagers showed only a wall of cold, wavering smoke. The attackers used the smoke to hide motion and mask heat signatures. Then a decoy went live. Someone tossed a thin nylon line toward a shallow pool and fed it with a short, visible cable. It looked real. It looked promising. The elite patrol followed the line like hounds chasing a scent. Their focus narrowed. They waded into deeper mud. That bait bought seconds, and seconds were everything in this situation. To finish the distraction, the team detonated a spare FPV drone. The small blast was calibrated to be loud and disorienting without revealing much position. The pop echoed across the reeds, and that's when Spetsnaz's attention snapped toward the noise. Men shouted, heads turned, and for a few more heartbeats, the hunters became the hunted. The trap worked. Patrols stumbled into the mud, slowed, and disorganized. A few became stuck. Their boots went to the ankle in black ooze. While the enemy wrestled with the bog and the smoke, the HUR team prepared the main move. They locked the fiber reels, checked flight paths, and readied javelins. Calm hands did the final checks. At 3:15 a.m., the order went out. 4 FPV drones lifted almost silently, their fiber tethers unspooling like thin lifelines. They cut low across channeled water, engines barely a breath. At the same time, 3 javelins were slung and shouldered. This was the layered strike the team had trained for. The drones went first. Guided by direct fiber links, pilots pushed them straight at exposed radar arrays and junction cabinets. These drones carried small-shaped charges and precision cutters. They did not blow up everything. They hit the right wires and control boxes. Sparks fed into the smoke, and the big radar began to lose critical inputs. The system kept rotating, but its brain had just lost key senses. Finally, it was time for the javelins to fly. The 3 missiles rose without fanfare, tracing tight arcs through the fog. Each carried a top attack profile and a timed fuse meant to detonate after penetrating armor. The missiles struck where the team wanted, not the outer walls but the places that kept the depot alive.
The first javelin struck a command bunker and detonated inside. The blast trapped pressure within concrete rooms and reflected shock off every solid surface. That pressure wave crushed racks and snapped support columns. Floors collapsed into the basements. Equipment that had run the depot for months became scrap within seconds. Men who had hours earlier moved with confident steps now crawled through smoke and ruin, searching for exits and for anyone they could help. The second and third javelins hit ammunition storage and an electronic shed. Their tandem warheads punched through reinforced roofs and exploded within. Stored rockets and drone kits ignited in sequence. Fire raced across pallets and racks. A controlled strike turned into cascading detonations as stacked munitions cooked off one after another. Heat climbed into the sky, and a single bright column marked the depot's undoing. Engineers and EW teams tried to isolate circuits, but the damage outpaced them. The depot's Kasuka 4 electronic warfare suite was a complex, delicate system worth millions. It could not survive direct hits and the blast's thermal shock. Its processors and antennas failed under heat and shock. Technicians found nothing left to patch. With EW down and radar faces blinded, the depot lost both its eyes and its voice in a single night. Commanders tried to rally forces. Spetsnaz and FSB teams poured into the area, sirens cutting through the fog as they tried to secure what remained. Medical teams pulled survivors from the wreckage. Firefighters fought to hold smaller fires that might spread into new piles of explosives. Still, satellites recorded a massive thermal anomaly over the site, smoke and fire visible even from orbit, and that evidence made the loss impossible to hide. The human toll hit the logistics network hardest. Key officers and technicians who coordinated resupply and encrypted comms suffered the heaviest losses. With those leaders gone or incapacitated, no one sat at the bench to route supplies, to authorize convoy moves, or to answer urgent calls. What happened over the next 72 hours looked like a supply chain seizure. Artillery units across the front saw routine requests time out. Trucks waited at staging points with engines warm and drivers ready, but the orders never arrived. Convoys that should have moved ammunition stalled. A single night's loss of one high-value depot created a choke point that rippled outward across the front. From a cost and effect view, the trade was brutal. A small team, tethered drones, and a handful of javelins cost far less than the depot and the lost capability it held. In one operation, the attackers forced the opponent to scramble on multiple layers: tactical, operational, and strategic. They left before dawn, folding fiber reels, stowing drones, and slipping back through reeds. Behind them, the depot burned, and commanders dealt with the shock. What do you think? If Ukraine keeps fighting like this, can it actually win this war? Tell us what you think in the comment section below. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more updates on this war. Goodbye for now.